We've come to take your mind. So we do this. Here we go. Sandor Ligetfalvy. Tired of talking about this, but we got to keep talking about it because our media and politicians are bullies, and there's few people that will talk out about it that don't want to carry the narrative. House band is on fire again tonight. Thank you, boys. Nicely done. Nicely done. We have some screenshots we're going to flow through here in a pretty quick order. It's going to be a quick hit, not a 3-hour program tonight, but no, I appreciate the time.
Sorry, Jeff did nothing wrong.
How are you, brother? Good to see you and the family last night, man. That is one of the best pictures I've ever seen. Ever. I mean, wow. That picture of your child and me.
I'm happy to share the happiness with you.
My buddy
thanks for having us.
Oh, no, that made my night. My buddy took that with his brand new. He called me the other day. He says, hey, you got an extra iPhone? Because I always do. And, mine's trash. And he goes, wow, these are expensive. And then he showed up with a brand new iPhone 12, and he took that picture with the fuzzy background. It's beautiful. All right, so the screen is up, man. I can pull you up once we go through this, but we don't need video for this, so the audio is clear. I think you're coming in nice. Way to go. 3 arrested, thousands vaccinated at City Hall Clinic. Now, this is a picture of our friend Cullen McDonald. Cullen's been, well, he has multiple charges, like many of us do. He's not allowed to be within 50 meters of a megaphone, and I didn't realize they picked him up again in Toronto. He was outside this vaccination clinic. Now, is this the same vaccination clinic that they were offering free ice cream for kids?
That's right, the very same one. That's the context of what the story that I took some screenshots of some of the local politicians and their feelings on vaccinating their children. And the context was really, for us, the fact that the day before, or on the same day, May 23rd, there was a pop-up vaccination clinic at City Hall for minors without the need for parental consent. And so Cullen was arrested at that location. And so I posted this picture to our group. And then at the same time, Kerry Porter was saying that the protesters had sunk to new lows by presenting themselves and demonstrating there. Mm-hmm. And from our point of view, I think that the government is sinking to new lows by non-consensually offering vaccinations without parental consent in exchange for ice cream. So there's a bit of a controversy on both sides, perhaps. Somebody
said the other day, if my 12-year-old can consent to the jab, can they also tell me no? We're entering a strange time here where we're giving 12-year-olds autonomy over their own bodies for, well, not only just the jab, but, I mean, we're talking about transitioning them way too early, too. So this is weird. Somebody just said the other day, well, if they can opt into the jab, can they tell me to go F myself if I tell them they're getting it? Like, can you tell, I got to go to the courts and say, yeah, my parents want me to get the vaccination, but I am my own entity here, my body, my choice, and I don't want the jab. What do you think? It's ridiculous time that we're in.
Questions I hadn't considered prior. I hadn't considered.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. All right, so the next one here is Carrie Wear a Mask Porter. Man, are you tiring of this woman, or is she still entertaining to you? Because I don't see how she's an effective leader or a good person in our community. I don't know. She's just, why do they hate so much? Like, I got my own hate. I'm trying to deal with it. I don't do a great job all the time, but this
example here isn't yet the best example of Carrie Porter's hypocrisy. We'll get there. This is just sort of her expressing her opinion about the fact that they're protesting, and her well, she's committed to she has booked appointments for her own children, and maybe that's the right move for her and her children or not. I think there's reason for us to, as a society, to consider why are we experimental injection into minors. Why is that a thing that's happening at all? Minors aren't at risk. There are still the vast majority of people who haven't received their second dose. So why are children prioritized now to receive a dose at all? Those are just legitimate questions. And Carrie Wear a Mask Porter is clearly enthusiastic about getting the injection into her kids' arms as soon as possible. And so then basically this is our May 23rd on the WTF group. Posted a couple of these screenshots to say like what's going on, and then here comes the next post. So Carrie Wear a Mask Porter made a post about her kids and about the protest, and Lori Littleton made a post as well. And so her post we can now see is she said that her 17-year-old suffers from severe needle anxiety, and you switched it.
No, we're back. You're on delay.
Oh, I'm lagged.
Yeah.
I'm lagged over here. There we go. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to read it. It's kind of hard to convey to the people who may not have heard of this case before, and also you have audio-only podcast members. So we're going to have to try to explain this. So she said, my 17-year-old suffers from severe anxiety from needles. I'm going to be using available support for her to #GetVaccinated. But the 12-year-old in June pipes up, I'll get one. I'll be booking his on his birthday. And #stick it to COVID.
Wow.
And then, which is, I think, a remarkable and a bit peculiar position to have. Perhaps it's totally normal from Lori Littleton's point of view, but it seemed peculiar from my point of view. And so I simply screenshotted it and, given the context of the previous day, said, have you considered offering your daughter some gelato?
I skipped over that with I was gelato. I missed the gelato thing. I'm not sharp sometimes.
Meanwhile, a Twitter user asked Littleton, what do you mean by supports? And so she specified that she found support through Pathstone, which is a children's mental health service provider in Niagara, and that there's a counselor working with her. And so I just isolated that as well. Again, I think it's a little peculiar that a 17-year-old, not at risk for COVID-19 individual, I don't know all their details. It's a bit peculiar. So I just simply identified it and then made this post. And a couple Facebook users got onto the post. Those are on our page, made their comments, and one of the comments came from Jeff Laux. And Jeff Laux describes himself as a human rights defender and isn't necessarily fully aligned with my views or your views, but his perspective is to retain human rights in our society, and therefore has become involved in our movement for that reason. And so he, and by in our movement, I just mean on my Facebook group. And so he comments, and maybe you can pull that up. And then this comment was turned into a controversy. So the title of this episode is #Jeff did nothing wrong. And this is the thing that he did nothing wrong, this comment. So it was this comment on that gelato post that Jeff made. You have it up?
Yep, we're up. My only question is here.
Oh.
Pathstone has this huge 18-month waiting list for kids who are actually suffering from depression or some other serious health issue. Yet City Councilor Lori Littleton is in front of the line? Question mark. No wonder our politicians don't understand the problems regular folks have. Municipal services treat them like royalty.
There you go. So shall we see how the public reacted? Or not the public. It's not the public. What happened here is it's the members of the government. He started to engage in cyberbullying and attacks against Jeff and myself. And frankly, the entire movement, whatever you want to call that, they call it anti-vax, anti-mask, COVID-19 deniers. But they are identifying us specifically and generally to defame us all. And the individual in question was Chris Biddle. So Liberal MP Chris Biddle was this comment was brought to his attention, or he was scrolling through and found it. And at 3 p.m. on May 24th, he decided to launch into an attack on Jeff. And it was an attack on Jeff because it unnecessarily called him out, misrepresented what was being said, and tagged Jeff's children's school in Biddle's tweet, which is remarkable. And by itself, we should pause and consider what that is. Member of the government, Liberal MP, a member of the ruling government, didn't like a comment on the internet by Jeff and tagged Jeff's kid's school, where Jeff is the president of the Parent Teachers Council. So that's what Biddle says in the tweet. Oh, I heard that one of the cowards is a. So do we have Biddle's stuff?
Yeah, Biddle's up right now, seeing a couple anti-vax, anti-mask idiots attack a local city councilor over their children's needle anxiety is absolutely appalling. Then to find out one of these cowards is the president of a local PTA is especially shocking. I hope that at CSC, what's that? Monover?
That's the school.
Okay, follows up. Wow, this type of harassment is wholly unacceptable. Look what he's engaging in. Counselor at Littleton STC, St. Catharines is lucky to have you. What the? It's just so, it's so political, everything. Thank you for sharing your daughter's story, and we need more people telling their stories. These people are not trying to bring us together at all.
Finish that tweet, Jim.
We need more people telling these stories to help get us closer to herd immunity. Anti-vaxxers are a societal scourge.
You're damn right they're not bringing us closer together, Jim.
Wow.
Societal scourge. I guess I'm not on screen because you can't see my face just blinking at that. Right? Here, get me on the screen so I can be like...
Shut up. Fuck.
Okay? What the hell is societal scourge? What do you do with a scourge, Jim? If you have a scourge in your society, what do you do with it?
Eliminate it, outcast them. I don't know.
Yeah, you wipe them out somehow.
Crazy.
So I consider that to be hate speech. So here we have Chris Biddle, 3 p.m. He's the guy who's breaking the story. Okay? The story being a couple of anti-vax, anti-mask idiots attack a local city council. Well, first of all, we didn't load up any munitions. We didn't aim them at anyone, at Lori. We just made a couple comments on our own group and left it at that. Nobody added Lori. Nobody went on and made our own posts with accusations that went on and on about it. There's no attack.
No.
It's a completely loaded term, which is nonsense. Even Lori herself correctly acknowledged that we criticized. In fact, Lori's the only one who didn't basically harass us in return. If you look at, we're going to see her tweet threads as well. So here we have 3 p.m. Biddle starts the starts the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he's done this at 3 p.m, about 5 hours later, Littleton releases her thread. And I guess that's the next image or the image after. Because Porter also retweets that. And
we got Greg Miller now. Just disgusting behavior. Sincerely, what is wrong with some people? No one deserves this, especially not Lori and her family. Also, the idea that a city councilor's family can jump the queue at Pathstone is just aggressively dumb. Hey, Ginger, speaking of aggressively dumb, holy jeez. Is there an IQ correlation between redheads and mental deficiency?
I don't think there is, Jim.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Just check it.
Check the stats sometime.
I bet you there is. All right. Well, this is wholly humorous, really. I mean, everyone knows Greg Miller's a freaking joke. I mean, most people know, but if they watch City Council,
yeah,
he's a joke. I mean, this guy never brings anything serious to the table. Well, I mean, we do have free feminine products now at some city locations, so I guess we can thank him for that. And we've got a new pride flag. Yay. Way to go. Ginger.
Crosswalk.
The gingeriest counselor.
I don't have any particular gripe with Greg Miller one way or the other. I don't appreciate.
Well, here's the thing.
What he's done here is he's taken so Chris Biddle's tweet didn't name Jeff or I, but now he's gone ahead and found the post and he's named us. So now we're identified as the cowards. We're identified as the quote anti-vax, anti-mask idiots that Biddle referred to. And he's misrepresenting us as having disgusting behavior. Literally, no one's swearing. Nobody's adding anyone. I'm literally just describing what I'm seeing in my own words. And there's Jeff's comment. So that's how, then people started obviously, going off on their Sandor hate. They don't have much Jeff hate yet. That's what they're trying to train the public. They're trying to throw Jeff under the bus, which is why it's important for us to say Jeff did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that in contrast, Jeff has a long history of pretty middle-of-the-road, reasonable thinking in my mind. Now, I mean, Jeff and I used to war back in the days. We're online a lot more. The fact that he was in mixed company last night, I had some of my friends going, dude, you and Lokes? So, like, it just goes to show you can be political opponents and disagree on stuff strongly over history and then still be all right. I mean, Jeff's been a pretty solid voice. And so my point is, Jeff has a long history of reasonable thinking when it comes to politics.
That's why they're targeting.
Right. In contrast, they've already been successful at demonizing you from the scraping, from whatever, and the anti-mask narrative and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe I did it to myself.
Well, you actually, you did it for a reason, right? Liberty and what have you. So I'm with you there. But this is their way, right? They discredit you, they make you look crazy, and then they lump you in with a conspiracy theorist, and that's what they're absolutely trying to do to Jeff. I don't think it's going to work. I mean, he's got too much work out there. His posts are all there to see. He's obviously not a conspiracy theorist. He's done some really in-depth work on the data for coronavirus. Right. I think it's been very objective. It doesn't always say what,
right.
I don't agree with everything. I hate how we have to say, I don't agree with everything Jeff, come on. Yeah, we can, everyone's their own opinion, right? They have their own mind and they can, so I think he's been a stand-up guy as far as wanting to bring people together. I mean, when we were warring years ago, it was actually, he was trying to put two guys that were warring back together, and, I'm always open for shaking hands, having a beer, and burying the hatchet. And Jeff has been pretty instrumental on trying to make that happen where he's got influence. So I appreciate that. And he's got a really good mind from the standpoint of, like, putting things in context. Like he put this idea that I hate women in the context of, I've had many of these women that have presented to city council on my show and treated them with nothing but respect. Meanwhile, Walter Sendzik tries to make girls like Rebecca Hahn, who is a good member of the community, a happily married mother of 2, Christian girl, and Walter Sendzik basically says, so you think this is all a hoax? She wants answers to how the PCR tests are being spun. How many cycles? That's all. And she's formed a group of an email, and in her presentation, he takes time to make her look like an idiot. And I don't think it's working very well, because Rebecca Hahn is a good woman. She's a stand-up woman. She's got a good reputation, and she's doing a good thing by presenting to council. Where do you get off making her look like a conspiracy theorist? But I get it. This is what they do. This is how they try to take your power away and control the narrative.
Absolutely. It depends what you mean by hoax, after all.
Yeah.
I mean, considering that if you're dodgy about answering the question about PCRs, that's kind of hoaxy.
Yeah. Lori Littleton's the next tweet here. Thread.
There
Today I was made aware of some public criticism aimed at me after I tweeted about my elder daughter's anxiety with needles. I let someone who asked a question about where my family had sought support know it was at Pastone MH. In these posts, support others had offered. Okay, I don't know how that doesn't flow right, but okay.
Is this on screen?
Yeah. And then tweet 2. I see. Had offers the word mocked. I was accused of jumping the wait queue because I'm city councilor. It was also suggested my daughter's anxiety isn't a real disorder and that she took someone else who had serious depression or some other serious health issue spot. I share my daughter's anxiety because I hoped I might let others know this phobia exists. Should I do it in her voice? It's like outrageous for someone to deduce that my family did not follow Pastone's professional intake process. In fact, another agency referred us. It's disgusting to insinuate otherwise. Additionally, oh my gosh, I'm running out of steam here. Additionally, I'm not about to disclose all my children's medical conditions. I do not think I need to justify why we sought care or why care was provided. Actual healthcare professionals did that, not Facebook or Twitter. If someone had a question, they could send a PM. Instead, they chose to go on social media, just like you did. You brought your children into this, Lori. You want to discuss a decision council is making. You want to talk about the way or make our city better. You want to discuss policy. No problem. Oh, so now she's just going virtue signaling. You want to peddle in some conspiracy and untruth and then attacked my kids? No way. Hey, Lori, victim narrative is so old and stale. Stop it.
She's running the Laura playbook.
Yes, you are correct there, sir.
She's the victim of the week, and then all of the other hyenas are going to, run cover for her. I mean, I actually don't think Lori did anything particularly egregious. I think that she's representative of a phenomenon of social pressure and political pressure. I have no gripe or issue with Lori Littleton. The only reason we made these observations is because of social and political pressures being placed on both parents and children to get an experimental injection. So I'm interested in the social pressure and her as an example of social pressure. I'm not at all interested really in her political career or her personal life or her family at all. But as for the question of jumping the line or members of government getting better treatment than the average public, I mean, if it's not true, then it's not true. A simple denial would have been sufficient. But to say that it's disgusting to even suggest that a member of the government might be getting special treatment, it's not that disgusting. And I don't say that Lori engaged in any cyberbullying or hate speech in her response. She just told her side of the story, as far as I see it. And whereas I do think that Miller, Porter, Sendzik, and Biddle all engaged in a form of cyberbullying and, in Biddle's case, hate speech, certainly.
There is no hate speech. For anyone.
There is no, well, I'm saying.
There's not.
All right.
Unless you call for
Well, I'm
violence
saying
on
that
somebody,
there's-
which is illegal. Say whatever you want. I don't care who you are. Say whatever you want. The problem is,
Okay, well,
that the people that don't.
Speech laws.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
yeah, and just
hey, please do defend Biddle's free speech position. Because
absolutely, I
that's
do.
a great,
Say whatever you want,
I
man.
think-
But this is the problem. When you break the
we're talking
narrative,
about
you get
all this
silenced. You
society.
get
He's a
muzzled.
member of the government.
Yeah.
He's a member of the government who called us a scourge on society. A member of the government called citizens a scourge. So that's really hate speechy. Okay? That's close.
It's just not appropriate,
Pretty
or
close.
it's not appropriate, and
It's pretty close to setting us up to
I
being
want
killed.
these guys to.
or hurt.
It's certainly
Pretty
cyberbullying. Yes, you're inciting a mob, and we've seen it many times. I've experienced it, man. Last year at the same time, I experienced the hate mob that came for me because I said some unkind thing. So I've continued to do so. I mean, sometimes I get frustrated. Sometimes I'm passionate. Sometimes my lips fly. And especially if you're in my presence, you don't know what's going to come out. I'm not apologizing to a mob.
Oh.
But, so yeah,
Jim
I defend
Fannon,
everyone's
wrong,
right to
also.
say what you want anytime you want to say it. It makes it easier for us to know who you are. That's all. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I'm a free speech absolutist for everyone. Okay, so what's next here? Carrie Porter gets in. Wow, these things are getting kind of small because they're so long, so I can't even read this one too well because it goes off the. So Carrie, these are very long-winded women. They have a lot to say when it comes to this stuff, and it's all virtue signaling. It's all like, I'm better than you, I'm moral, you're not. We believe in facts, you don't. Over and over and over. It's just a repeating narrative.
Every single one of those things being a lie, of course.
The behavior of the person who commented about a counselor's kid and who publicly accused the counselor of jumping a queue to get her child treatment is abhorrent. Lying and gaslighting are features of populist politics. So is framing of all politicians as, quote, elites, who the populists like to pit against, quote, the people. And then they frame a lowly part-time city councilor as an elite. The guy who did this is not naive or a political amateur.
See, they know.
He used to be He used to be involved in a local riding association and in Port Dalhousie anti-tower politics. He also involved some men's rights stuff. People are angry now, including parents with children on wait lists, and intentionally try to get anger misdirected for, oh my gosh, a woman. Anger misdirected at a woman who is not all responsible for mental health funding, nor who jumped any queue to get her child treatment, is disgusting. All caps. Carrie, do you need the all caps? Like, seriously. Yeah. There's a bunch of people across the political spectrum pulling these kinds of moves and going out of their way to manipulate and misdirect anger for their own personal gain. And what's SIRS?
Sirs.
Okay.
Yes,
whatever.
this is where clap.
Clap. We clap. Our clap. Going. Clap. To clap. Call. Clap this behavior out. Clap. 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 What's the claps? I don't get the claps. I never understood the. Shut up, Carrie Porter.
Sir, we are gonna call this out. We are gonna call this out. Oh man.
Oh my gosh, dude, are you blackpilling like I am? Are you completely hopeless that you're unable to affect change in this realm, and that we're doomed?
Are you fucking kidding me, bro? We just took all of that negative energy that Carrie and Walter and Greg and Biddle, Chris, and transmuted it against them. They've just shamed themselves. Anyone who goes to WTF Niagara and looks at these posts, # Jeff did nothing wrong, these people are losing credibility. they're blatantly lying and losing their minds over a comment that does not reflect their reaction to it. They're calling things an attack that are not attacks. They're calling things harassment that's not harassment. That's blowing up in their own face. So I think that this is the perfect path. And that I tweeted back at Carrie. I mean, I did not. It's not. It really isn't. It really isn't them calling us out. It's us calling them out. So like, I'm calling you out, Carrie. You know, like.
Stop that.
Because, well, that's it's called satire, right? Satire. I don't know where clap talking came from, but it's very obnoxious. It's super obnoxious.
Who's Karim Ali? She's with the NHS?
She's a 45-year-old grown-ass woman clap tweeting.
Please, this thread. Karim Ali. She must be with the NHS. Bug Buster Doc. Sorry.
Why is this guy even in this conversation?
It's a him. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was she. Please, this thread. Again, for those who don't have anything constructive to say, don't say anything. Oh. Don't attack public figures and families. This vitriol must stop. Cut in line? Honestly? We got your back, Counselor Littleton. Be kind, everyone is struggling. Shut up, Dr. Ali.
I just think it's weird he even had an opinion. Like, why are they all friends? Well, I guess they are. They're like famous Twitter influencers, and they got each other's back. But doesn't that kind of contradict itself? Like, we got your back. Isn't that kind of saying like we, the medical establishment, got your back, counselor? So it kind of undermines the whole not cutting a line, honestly. But hey, like, again, that wasn't my accusation. Jeff made posited a question with question marks and never at all made an accusation. He was concerned about the question of cutting in line. He didn't go out of his way to beat it over anyone's head.
And what's this thing about attacks? How is this an attack? A question on Twitter is now somehow a violent attack? Why? Because words are violence? What's next? We're going to have, like, they were actually calling for my arrest for calling someone a name. And the post was dug up from Laura Yep calling Jordan Peterson a moron. So you can't have it both ways. You can't engage in the behavior that you decry and try and have somebody else ruined for it. And this is attack. You know, this is the framing of the narrative. It just doesn't stop. It's so unhealthy and it's disingenuous. Again, who is this? Is this Lord of all? Is this somebody's parent? Again, for those who don't have anything constructive to say, don't say anything. Dude, where do you come from? What part of the world is it okay for you to say, oh, if you don't have anything positive to say, don't say anything? It's ridiculous. Don't attack public figures and family. No, dude, we have the right to question our public figures, and questioning them in an open public forum is not violence. This is not an attack. Lori brought her kids onto the public square and put them out there.
True.
Wait, you tweet something about your kids? Staying with the thread, let's talk about your kids. A reply that talks about your kids in a tweet that you talk about your kids is not an attack. It's not dragging you. It's not targeting your children. But unless they control the narrative,
Jim, nobody even replied to her. We just talked about her in our own domain. How do you attack someone without actually crossing a border, without actually aiming and firing? It's not an attack. It was more like, I have something to talk about to myself. It had nothing to do with attacks. It's a criticism. It's an observation, a peculiar observation that maybe we're wrong about, maybe they're wrong about. It's for the public and for each individual to sort that out openly. And again, no one was rude, no one was vexatious, no one was swearing even. Mm-hmm. So we're not even swearing at them. I said no one. It's actually interesting. In the comments on our page, there are other people who say more outrageous things.
Right.
For some reason, they didn't highlight any of those people. And as we touched upon, they highlighted Jeff because he has political capital and credibility in the region. So they thought there was an opportunity to run the smear machine and the struggle session on Jeff.
Right.
And Jeff did nothing wrong.
Because Jeff holds a hammer. He has political clout. And so you don't have to go after the nobodies that have 4 followers that operate anon counts. You go after the guy that's got a high degree of credibility and exposure. Like, I mean, lots of people follow Jeff.
And let's turn this around on them in terms of this word attacks. So, for example, Jeff made a comment on a post. The post was seen by just 100 people by itself. So this notion that Jeff had raised wasn't floating around to the public and needed to be answered. Nobody was wondering this question like, oh, wow, that question Jeff raised, everyone needs the answer to. Nobody cared. Nobody was thinking we need the answer. Meanwhile, or at least last month, think of how Carrie Porter treated the protesters on April 10th and April 17th. So she went out of her way making videos and tweets accusing people, actual people, of being enmeshed in white supremacy, entirely baselessly. So she certainly did go on the attack and engaged in harassment, and as did her fans. So there's a remarkable difference between posting a comment on a post and making a post, in fact, a video, and then doubling down on your comment. So Carrie, spare us, you hypocrite.
Yeah, no, the hypocrisy is amazing, and unfortunately, this is the way the game's played. I'm not sure that we're winning it, but I'm going to continue to play the game. I'm certainly not going away. We got some.
You're a key element.
We got some comments here.
I admire you, Jim. You have a really strong backbone. I admire your backbone. Sometimes I get a little bit wiggly.
Oh, yeah, I do. I do as well. I just, maybe I hide it well. Nancy Graham, thanks for coming out on YouTube. She can't share. She's in jail for cheering Dougie Ford stuff. I think I followed a douche. Okay. So this is the comments on Facebook. Mirielle. Mimi. Oh, I can call you Mimi now. Okay. I still prefer Mirielle. Maria Hadlow's on. I'm so mad. It's hard not to curse. Wrong on so many levels. Thanks, Maria. I can't believe them. Rebecca Lynn is in. Sirs, are you assuming pronouns, Miss Porter? And Argus on Twitch. What up? Twitter's an unhealthy product. It's pseudo-mind reading anonymous outpouring. Thank you, Twitch. What's this guy's name? I can't read Argus. I can't read your handles in red. It's hard to read. Marielle's in. Maria, Rebecca Lynn, and Argus. Oh, Argus is busy. Okay, I can't get to all this. And emotionally and intellectually mature individuals won't invest in social media systems to be their friend, family, and group surrogates. Recognize this major problem with allowing your brain to be snatched by obstructive and psychologically unhealthy behavior. Okay, cool. All right, so back to, do we have more slides here?
High quality content.
Yeah. That's Twitch.
Sure do.
Twitch getting in.
A couple more, finish off the story. I think we've definitely hit the core of the story, which is that Biddle engaged in cyberbullying against Jeff Loucks, and Jeff did nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. Biddle, Miller, Porter, and Senzik.
Here's Senzik
all
now.
Need to be held accountable for treating their residents in this way.
Mm-hmm. This is Walter Senzik's tweet. A parent spoke up and advocated for mental health and was attacked, again, keyword, right? Attacked by COVID-19 deniers. Nobody said the COVID-19 exists. We get it. Because she is a city councilor. Okay, so we target her specifically because she's a city councilor and we're denying that COVID exists. Walter, you're a lying fool. Let's uplift each other and share a message of positive mental health instead of putting each other down. As you put someone down in your... like, the hypocrisy is unbelievable that they cannot see this. Really? Mayor Wally, who's done nothing in 2 terms except a compassionate city hashtag that cost him, 80 G's to get designed, that probably went to one of his friends' firms. He's done nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's got no control of his council. He's a dead duck. Mayor. This is to get. Let's uplift each other and share a positive message. So yeah, as you grind on someone, as you basically incite anger. I'm not going to call for, I'm not saying he's inciting violence, but he's putting you on blast and saying, you know what, basically, you're a piece of garbage and you don't believe in COVID. Oh, and you're attacking. Shut up, Walter.
That's right.
Fool.
This is May 25th. So
Oh my goodness.
the next day, he's like, "Oh, I better get in on this. I missed the whole. I must not have been on Twitter that night, so I better get in on it." So the next day, he completely reframes what took place in false terms. A parent spoke up and advocated for mental health. It's not exactly what happened. I mean, she wasn't advocating mental health or whatever. She just disclosed some information which we thought was peculiar. She wasn't attacked at all. So as for being a COVID-19 denier, I consider that a loaded term based on the term Holocaust denier. There's nothing rational about applying that term to someone. It's just meant to trigger condemnation and this guy's an idiot. Oh, COVID-19 denier. Okay. And attack because of city council. Well, to be honest, that's probably the most relevantly accurate part, which is the only reason that Lori Littleton's tweet at all was relevant is because she's a city councilor. And the only reason that, I wouldn't have been like, she's a member of government. I identified it. I thought it was interesting. I follow her for that reason. But she certainly wasn't a parent attacked because of being a city councilor. Really, the criticism came because of the content of her tweets, as we discussed earlier in the program.
Fair game. You don't want public reaction? Don't tweet stuff. I was like, that's what the platform's for. You say something, people reply. Sure. Replies don't mean you're being attacked. Rebecca Lynn, COVID-19 84.
Questions are attacks.
That's a good one.
That's good. Well, and then LaFleche got in on it. He got in last on the Twitterati pile.
Okay.
And all he did is basically try to turn the story into a smear on the protest movement in general, which he terms as anti-mask and anti-vax.
Grunt Little Roach. A response from at St. Catharines City Councilor who's harassed. Now we're harassing, attacking, and harassing. These are violent terms by the local anti-mask, anti-vax set. Grant, you are a buffoon, dude. And the problem with you being a buffoon is you are running a false narrative in your mainstream media rag that no one can disagree with, no one can question, or else they're put in the anti-vax set. My body, my choice, Grant. Right up until
Grant's
death.
Statement here is so many layers removed from reality. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt that there is such thing called an anti-mask, anti-vax set. A group of people who all have in common rejecting masks and rejecting the vaccine. Okay, so forget that it's a pejorative, and let's just acknowledge that there is a group of people who are like that. What's this have to do with them? What? Sorry, what did? What? Like, I guess I'm some sort of symbolic figurehead of these anti-mask, anti-vax set. Anything I'm involved in
You're the leader.
Means the entire set is somehow reflected in that behavior. The point is, he's so far removed from reality in this. At no point, except for Greg Miller, did anyone go to the hard data of what was actually said. So, I'll give Greg Miller credit for at least pointing out the real words Jeff and I actually used so that reasonable minds could see them for what they are, even though he called it disgusting behavior. All right, well, that's her. Lori's hurt his friend, so he can be disgusted if he wants. Again.
Hyperbole.
All right. Yeah, so, but Lori's tweet here isn't actually based on, there's no reality to it. It's like a story. And then that story gets transformed into Grant LaFleche's interpretation, which is a city councilor harassed by the local anti-mask, anti-vax set. Well, if you took those words by themselves, what would you think happened? you'd think a group of anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers have been engaging in communications directly with Lori Littleton. To my knowledge, that hasn't taken place, and that certainly didn't take place in the thread he's even retweeting to. So Grant LaFleche is a terrible liar. We can all see it. It's amazing. Just calling out Grant LaFleche is like, you can make friends just on that one topic alone. It really brings people together. Oh, you hate Grant LaFleche too? Oh, it's like, you know what I mean? I have made so many contacts and friends just by standing up to Grant LaFleche. It's amazing.
It's amazing. My Facebook feed, I mean, I just post what I post, but lately, the amount of disgust for this man, I don't think he has any idea. I mean, he must have some idea. But yeah, if I post a Chris Biddle tweet, or a Grant LaFleche tweet, or my page has never been more active, and I go over once in a while just to see what's going on. But usually they get sent to me because I'm blocked from all these turkeys, right? Chris Biddle blocked me, Grant LaFleche blocked me a long time ago, and what's the point of the block, dudes? I see everything. It's just a childish way of going.
Platforming, really.
Yeah.
It's deplatforming so that if they say something that's bullshit, you can't slide in and be like, "That's bullshit."
Mm-hmm.
It's just totally.
I still can. I just copy the thread.
Carrie Porter just blocked you last week. So up until now, we could have responded to her stuff, and I had responded, and I never swore at her. I never insulted her. I simply responded to the topics she raised when they concerned me. And there's nothing vexatious about that. And you know what? I think that something that the Star Destroyer, the Death Star, Rob Gill and us, we agree on, which is that you shouldn't, publicly elected officials shouldn't be blocking their constituents. So we have a new segment we should talk about. We should have a segment which is things we agree on with people who don't agree with us. So Rob Gill and I, we agree that these people shouldn't be blocking.
Rob Gill
is the Death Star. Us. It's not appropriate.
Grantham Citizen likes your tweet.
I understand that people are real assholes on the internet. I try not to be as much of an asshole as people claim I am. I don't swear at people. I'm quite nice.
Grantham Citizen is back. Are you familiar with Grantham Citizen? He just liked her tweet. I just sent this link out.
He drank the Kool-Aid on this story.
Did he?
Did you see that?
No,
Yeah, he replied to Lori Littleton's tweet saying, "Oh, I don't usually agree with you, but this is absolutely unacceptable." I wonder now, Grantham Citizen, if you've reconsidered your view on that, because I don't think you knew what happened. I think you read Lori's thread and you took it at face value, and now you realize that it's the same playbook we've seen time and again with these hyenas. So do you still think that Jeff's comment was totally unacceptable, and so on and so forth? So I wonder, Grantham Citizen, if you still feel that way. I wonder if you're watching. He's not a huge fan of our movement, by the way. He's a pro-vax person. He's been personally vaccinated, he says, and doesn't really approve of me or my protests. And he thinks that the "my body, my choice" argument made by vaccination people is hypocritical for some reason. I don't quite understand why, but he's been quite clear on that being his view.
Yeah, so his pinned tweet.
I also agree that he's a really great account, a lot of great hot takes, and
yeah, he was gone for a long time too, and he's the one that dragged me into. He's the one that grabbed my attention with Laura Yip and sent me on my little rampage that I went on a year ago. Here's a hot take to piss everyone off. No. This is quoting Grantham Citizen. Here's a hot take to piss everyone off. If you're a No More Lockdowns protester who claims to be pro-life, you're a hypocrite. If you're an anti-No More Lockdowns. If you're anti-No More Lockdowns and claim to be pro-choice, you're a hypocrite. Think about it. I think you're... I don't see how that works. I'm No More Lockdowns, and I'm pro-life, and yes, I'm a hypocrite, but not on that topic, dummy. Anyways, I like Grantham Citizen too, and he's been gone for a long time. He just came back up, and there's another Anon account that was designed to specifically prove that at Grantham Citizen was Jim Fannon. Like, we don't type the same. He's a teacher at
I've never seen you in the same room.
the Catholic School Board. Like, we don't know who he is, but we know he's a teacher with the Catholic School Board. I'm not. But some of these anon accounts, I know are actually the city councilors' anon accounts where they're talking to themselves, supporting themselves by just doing it through an anon account. You know, I mean, we watched Andy Gill do it all the time on a standard comment section.
This is an interesting phenomenon. I think that there's so much happening in reality, in like what you can see observably, that's so outrageous that it's almost never necessary to speculate about what's going on behind the scenes, because what's taking place in your face is more than enough.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it's already 9:09, dude. I got to get out. Gavin McInnes is live.
Thanks a lot for the platform, Jim.
You're welcome, my brother.
In the comments, what do you think? Did Jeff do anything wrong?
Yeah.
What do we do about it? You know, obviously there should be code of conduct complaints. These people need to be voted out. I mean, we need to, as a community, and I guess I mean freedom-loving, maybe you could say conservative, maybe you could say people who aren't part of the communist left-wing agenda really do need to organize seriously and get their best candidates ready for the 2022 elections. Freaking take back your government from these people. And don't act like them once you have the government. I really don't need to see my politicians' personal lives on their Twitter feed. I consider their Twitter feed to be political content. And I don't need to know that you're a good person who has a family. I personally try to avoid doing that with my own posts. I try to avoid being all like, oh, look, here's me and my family. Because there's so many enemies watching, it's none of your goddamn business that I'm so happy with my family. I mean, we're here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about ideas. So I think that we should pretty much keep our kids off the internet. When my son was born, my wife and I made the decision to exclude him from any social media posts. Mm-hmm. I've posted a couple pictures that are kind of subtle about the way he looks and how he is, but I won't post, I haven't all year, pictures of him as if like he's the star of the show and every single day is the baby show. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really inappropriate use of social media. Certainly for someone like me, who is a lightning rod of hate and scandal. I don't need people coming to my account and looking at my beautiful baby. That's for your eyes only, for friends only. So that's my view on that.
Good. Here's where you find him on Twitter at WTF Niagara. What the facts? All right. What's the facts?
That's right. WTFN too. Should we tell them that you somehow recovered the WTF Niagara page?
I didn't realize how important that was to you, but when I got the notice from Facebook, it says this group doesn't have an admin. Do you want to be it? And then Jeff said to me, well, good thing they made you the admin and not some other slacker that was going to close the group or something. So a lot of good information on that group.
700 members there.
Is there? Wow.
700.
Yeah, that's grown quite nicely.
We built that group up over months.
Mm-hmm.
Alicia did nothing wrong. Mayor Bilsma did nothing wrong. Rick B did nothing wrong. Maybe because that's the name of this episode, it's what we should close on, is why we are always so-and-so did nothing wrong. Why is it blank did nothing wrong? Well, it's because they're constantly being attacked for things that they didn't do. That doesn't mean they've never done anything wrong. But as far as saying all lives matter, Mayor Bilsma did nothing wrong. As far as talking on his own radio show, Jim Fannon did nothing wrong. As far as who else are we talking? As far as Rick B, as far as making a comment on the internet that was a joke and wasn't about beheading Dr. Hergy, Rick B did nothing wrong. As far as Alicia making threats on the internet towards Dr. Hergy, that didn't happen. Alicia did nothing wrong. And now as far as launching an attack and harassment against Lori Littleton, Jeff did nothing wrong.
Amen to that, brother. Thanks for staying on top of things. And
thank you, Jim.
Get that flotation device for your kid.
Yeah, we'll have a pool party.
Yeah, baby.
We're going to make all of the losers jealous of us for actually having fun this summer.
Yeah, baby. All right. Appreciate your time, brother. We'll do it again soon.
You too.
Sandor Ligetfalvy, everyone, if you need them. Peace out, yo.
Freedom.
Oh, that's how you cut them hard. Cut them while they're talking. That's how you do that. Here's where you find WTFN. There's 1 and 2. The site is reclaimed, the first one, so probably little need for this one, but you just never know when you're going to get canceled. And then when you're canceled, you get your administrative rights taken away from the pages that you created. Oh, we're back. This is where you find them on the Twitter at WTF Niagara. At WTF Niagara is Sandor. And you can find me right here. Facebook.com/Jim Fannon. And we're on YouTube. It's the Jim Fannon Show. And Trew.Tube. TREW. Usually I send you out with some music, but I don't think you need some want some tonight. You need some want some? And plus, I got a date to get to. Muriel, thank you for jumping in. Lazarus, I'm sorry. Lazarchuk. Shoot. Let's just go with Diane. Sorry you're not getting your YouTube notifications. It doesn't surprise me. Hadlow and everyone else, thanks for joining. Peace, love, hug your neighbor, and for crying out loud, take that mask off your face and go live a normal life. It's really liberating to be normal. All right? I love you. I'm out.